Hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me. So today we're going to take a look at this Boots PS22 personal stereo. Or should that be two Boots PS22 personal stereos? Let me explain. So this is the first one I had and it came as part of a consignment, but I like the ruggedness of it, the proper 1980s red, black and white colour scheme, the boxy nature of it, the inline controls just there. Everything was very functional, very simple, and you kind of get what you see really. Made in Japan and very simple. So stop, play, fast forward. So you didn't even have the luxury of rewinding to hear your favourite song. You'd have to take it out, turn it over, fast forward it, hope for the best, take it back out, turn it back over, press play and start again. Oh, the fun, eh? So anyways, this just needs a decent clean. At some point I was going to get round to giving it a clean, a service, you know, change the belt maybe, clean the head, all that kind of stuff, and give the case a good polish. And that was kind of that. Then I happened upon the opportunity to get one of these, which was a boxed version with all its packaging. And I thought, oh, that'd be nice, have a fresh, clean example and a reference model. And anyway, needless to say, I've taken the opportunity to open it up already. So just like the PSR 70 that I reviewed on the channel a while ago, here's the McDonald's type packaging that you get with these units. This is the original packaging, very light styrofoam, and indeed it comes with the instruction manual and warranty card like so, and the headphones as well. So again, 1980s style, very simple wire band over headphones like so. Now that's great, but that was where the sort of familiarity ended really, because I then got the unit out itself and found this. So I'll move the packaging out of the way now, and I thought, oh, that's very odd, that's nothing like the original one, and I'll leave that just in the background as a reference. But essentially this one's quite a lot bigger. It's got a curved hinge lid there. The controls seem differently placed as well. So we've gone from a headphone jack there to a sliding volume pot and a DC jack to a headphone rotary volume control, no DC. And just generally, it's a bigger, well, is it a clumsier looking unit? I don't know. They've tried to refine it by making it curved and what have you, but I'm not sure. I think they just modernised it. So it went from 3 inline rectangular transport controls on the red one to oblique kind of 45-degree transport controls just there with a bit more detail on them. And also you'll notice there's a belt clip as well. So the original one was never fitted. The made in Japan version was never outfitted for a belt clip or anything like that. Whereas this one here, which was subsequently made in China, has got the belt clip on it. There you go, see? So there you go. So that's basically the overview of the aesthetics of the thing. And I don't know what you think, guys, but I'm kind of liking the square, rugged, small, more compact, and the colour scheme of that one as opposed to the more modern version. But anyway, enough about that. Let's take a look inside and see just how similar they are. So I'll move this one out the way for a moment, and we'll open this one up and see what we're up against. Now inside, incidentally, very simple mechanism. We've got one molded reel there, or spool. So this one just does all the work, of course, because it plays and fast forwards, and there's no need for the other one, of course, to engage. So that's that. Very simple inside, very simple arrangement. Single head, of course, not auto reverse on this one, and no graphic equalizer or anything like that. Right, okay, so if we pop the battery cover off, we can see the terminals for the batteries look in pretty clean condition. They're quite nice, so that's all good stuff, and there's no hidden screws or anything like that in there. So we'll open this up and see what's inside. I'm kind of doing this back to front as how I would normally do it, because of course regular viewers to the channel will know I normally take a more sensible approach to this, which would be to plug it in and test it first and see if we actually need to do any work while we're in here. For example, quite often the headphone joints can get quite worn or broken or cracked, and so you can get intermittent coming and going of various channels just from the wear and tear on a headphone. So this is quite a nice opportunity usually to reflow the joints around there on the circuit board. But notwithstanding that, here we go, and I'm going to come in for a slightly closer look now. There we go. So you can see what we've got now with this one, and there is a very simple drive belt which has taken on the obligatory teardrop shape there, where it's been around the motor spindle just there and the pulley across there, so it's kind of fixed in place. And obviously as that rotates in playback mode, you'll get wow and flutter as the as that wobbly part bounces across or rolls between the pulleys. So we'll have a look at that one. Now the secondary belt there, which controls the fast forward, that actually feels okay. It's got elasticity in it, the tension's about right, so that's that. Now in terms of the circuit board, you would normally expect to see a screw, and there is one just there, so you might need to change the head. No, we've got the same screwdriver head for this one. And what I loved about these old 80s players as well, I mean, that's a little, okay, it's quite a small screw, but that's probably like an M2, no, M3 maybe. It's not too tiny. I'm much more of a fan of working on the old stuff like this rather than the microscopic things, I've got to be honest. So if we want to get the board out of this, incidentally, we don't need to right now, but I'm just thinking it might be fun. We just slide the battery terminal away from its groove, just inside there, and be super careful. All we've really got, to be honest, are very simple connections on here. So we'll have a plus and minus going to the board there, which will drive the motor, and then we've got our tape heads just there. So we've got 3, 4, 5 wires all together, and that is it. So just carefully removing this back. There we go, and we can see we've got a Sanyo. There's the LA stuff in there. So this is interesting then. Here we go. Got a JVC board, JVC S73HB, and that uses an LM, let me just check this, LA4570 as the power amp. There we go. So we'll have we've got the speed resistor there, so that's for your tape motor speed. You've got your power regulator, you've got your power amp there, which is the Sanyo unit, and not a lot else to see. You can see the carbon tracks though for the volume slider. If I'm super careful, you can see the tracks just there. They've had a little bit of wear, but not too bad. So we might actually give them a little bit of a clean, and we'll just clean the inside of this lot as well. But to be honest with you, it's there's not much to it anyway. In fact, just for the hell of it, there we go. There is the unit removed from the case. So we can give the case a good clean, and we can get right in amongst this, give that a decent clean as well. Clean the head. I can see the capstan looks pretty grim, I've got to be honest. That's not the cleanest in the world. So we'll sort that, and the pinch roller as well. Yeah, just give it a bit of a zhuzh while we're out. But essentially, we've got ourselves a JVC board using the Sanyo power amp. So that's what's in this original Boots PS22. So I think what we'll do is just go and clean all this up in here now, and get a new belt on, put it back together, and then we'll take a look, I think, at the later model. And I think the first thing then, just to clean up some of this nonsense around here. It's only just dust and dirt and grime. Of course, what doesn't help with this particular unit is it's got an actual slot there. I don't know if that's just to get your finger in there to manually open the door. I suspect it is. Some models like this Sanyo MG34, for example, had a tuner pack that was basically the form of a cassette tape. And yeah, the thing with that one is you could actually put that in and play the radio through the cassette mechanism, but that needed a slot in the side for the tuner to operate the tuner that was built into the unit. So I don't think this one was as complicated as that. But anyways, as I say, this isn't anything too fancy today. We're just having a quick look, a little bit of a comparison, and seeing what's what really. So that's the most of the grime off of there. I'm just going to clean the head now. It's actually very clean. That weirdly, the head looks extremely clean. You can probably see that. Don't know if it will focus down there, but anyway, that's really nice. But the capstan, I should think, is less so. It's not as bad as I thought, but we'll get on with that anyway. So I'm just going to get on and clean this capstan and the pinch roller, and I'll be back momentarily. Okay, well that'll do. A lot better than it was. Now at this juncture you can actually get right in here and polish up the actual case as well. But I'm not going to worry about that today, because the actual innards are pretty clean anyways. It's more the lid I want to worry about. So anyway, let's get on with this and see if we can get this back in. I'm not convinced, incidentally, that you've actually got to even get the board off. And the main thing to remember as well, obviously line everything up, but just make sure that the actual mechanism operates correctly against the leaf spring on the board. Otherwise, when you go to press play, it won't work. Ask me how I know. Right, that's that one in. Spring contacts are back into their locating slots, and we'll just put that small screw back in. Good. Okay, so we've got a new belt as well now, which is the next job. Obviously the old one was deformed, so we'll get the new one on. Now we could go in here now and get some isoprope around the pulleys and all of that, but quite honestly, it's fine. There we go. See if it bites, which it's doing nicely. So, as I say, I don't even know if it works yet, and perhaps this might be the good time to check it actually. We might be able to do it whilst we've got access to these battery contacts. It's one of those that the case needs to be in place just to hold them. So we'll just dry fit it for a moment. There we go. Right. Okay, let's see if this thing actually works, shall we? And there it is. So we've got power to it. We know the belt's working okay. Good stuff. So I'm going to take that one back off just for a minute, so we can come back and use that as a comparison with the other one in a moment. But essentially, yeah, put that back on, drop the two screws back in, battery cover back on. Job's a good one. So that's the Made in Japan PS22. So we'll put that to one side and we'll have a look at the other one. Okay, so here we go then. This is the Made in Japan PS22, and it looks on the face of it like it's got a similar method of opening. The screws are identical as well by the looks of it. So I'm just going to remove anything that might get in our way. So belt clip and battery cover to one side. So here we go then. Let's see. Okay, well straight away, very similar but also very different. In fact, I'm going to bring the other one back in now for you to see. There we go. So we've got the same, looks like we've pretty much got the same mech actually. It does look like it's the same mech, but we're now onto a completely different board. In fact, we've gone more, yeah, everything, the chip's mounted this side this time, and it's another Sanyo chip. It's a LA8, what's that say, 665. So yeah, okay, JVC again. There we go, it's the LA6665, and it's a JVC S73HB, and we said this one, I'll look it back up, but it was on the other side, wasn't it? So okay, so that was a JVC board. This is a JVC board, both using Sanyo chips, and they both use the same mech, just a circuit board that is different. And you'll see also now, comparing the two actually, is that this one's got much thicker head cables and a slightly better layout, to be honest. These ones have got sort of cables all over the place, whereas these ones are 3 in line and they're quite chunky cables. And indeed for the motor as well, these are very flimsy, spindly wires, and we've got much chunkier ones on this modern board there. So that seems to be actually better. All right then, so let's have a look at the belt on this one. Yep, you've got your teardrop belt as well, so we'll replace that one. Again, it's not the end of the world, and quite frankly, anyone that's buying these wouldn't be an audiophile anyway. This is more just for a bit of fun really than anything else. So you don't have to go out and buy a top end belt, just find one that's the right size, and you can always tweak it as well, because obviously the different belt diameter might affect the speed slightly, so we'll be able to adjust that if we needed to as well, just by using that resistor. So again, just as we did with the original one there, the made in Japan one, this made in China version, it's got one screw to hold the board back, and there we go. Very clean looking board. There's your tape speed adjuster there. You can probably hear the rain hammering against the window at the moment, but bear with me. So there we go. It looks like a very clean, very simple arrangement. Nothing to it really. That's interesting. So in terms of adjusting the volume, the speed of the motor then, that's done through there, you can see. So yep, there's the actual adjuster there, but you can get to it from the rear, so there'd be no need to take the mech out of that one. Good stuff. And again, as before, we've got the secondary belt underneath, which I'll just check here now. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, no problem with that. So I know the fast forward will work on that one when the time comes. So what I'm going to do is get this one back together, get the screw back in, and we'll clean the head, change the belt. Okay, that one came with a tape. I didn't even realise. Look, see, it shows we're doing this for the first time. So okay, good stuff. Right, anyway, listen, let's get this belt back on and give it a clean and see how we get on with it. We'll just screw this board back down, get the new belt on just as before. Lovely. That's it. So we'll screw her back up and again try it out. In fact, no, we won't. Let's do it the right way around, because there's no point screwing it back together if it doesn't work, is there? So let's just try this and play. And there she goes. Fast forward. Beautiful. Good stuff. And just as before, I'll clean the head as well on this one and the capstan, and it'll be much the same process. So I'll go ahead and do that and be back in a moment. Much cleaner, that one. I did expect it to be honest, because it's been in its box most of its life, I think, and it was in such lovely condition. I don't think this one had barely ever been used. I'm just going to put this red one back together. So I've got my trusty JSX37 little speakers here just for a bit of fun, just to see if it works okay. So we shall put the batteries in. Headphone jack there. Find a tape. Play.
Sunsets by the shoreline. Gonna watch those burning skies. When I look up above and see the stars shining. Hold my...
Okay, so she's a little bit wobbly and a little bit slow, but we'll adjust that in a minute. I can probably find a better belt, to be honest. I'd normally, if it was a high-end bit of kit, I'd get a special belt ordered up for it, but these ones are one of these multi-bag jobs, and quite often you'll get some dodgy ones, and if you sort of look around in the bag, you'll actually find this one that provides a bit better playback. So I might even just change the belt again in a moment, but certainly I'll speed the tape up on that. But I've just tried the headphone jack, and that's good. So fast forward is working okay. You probably can't see that through that window, but I can see that's okay. So the headphone jack is okay. The volume slider is good. All we've got to do that is just change the speed slightly, and I may even, as I say, change the belt again, but that's like a 2-second job, so that's easy. Then we'll move on to the made in China one, and only reason I'm referring to those country of origin for what it's worth is just because that is literally the only difference. The models are the same, so need some way of differentiating between them. So we'll do the same again. Just put the battery cover on and headphone jack in and play. No, we don't. We need a tape. You see? We'll try again. Now, straight away, you can hear that's an awful lot louder, much clearer, much louder. Probably just because it's newer, I would imagine, and it'll be partly to do with other factors, age, use, that kind of thing. However, that one, the speed is spot on. I can tell that from listening to that. I'm happy with the speed. The belt is perfect on that one. There's no wow and flutter or anything like that. Because it could be some wear in the mechanism on this. It's unlikely, but that might be contributing to it a little bit. But anyway, this one, there's no crackle on the volume part. The speed is good. The tape playback is great. So that's spot on. That one just needs a wipe. And that will be that. So I'm just going to go ahead now quickly and make those quick adjustments to this one. So we'll get the back off. This is why I said I was doing it back to front. Normally you wouldn't zip it up like this until everything is working well. Where did we say the tape? There's the speed adjustment just there. Okay, and we also wanted to find another belt. So just before I adjust the tape speed, I'm going to change the belt out. There we go, and we'll just try this one. We can get it to work with the batteries in, look. All right, it sounds better, but hard to tell because of the tape speed. And interestingly, I noticed that this one does have a notch just there, which allows you to access the trim pot when the lid is on. So you can actually theoretically get to it like that, but obviously two issues with that. One is it's deep in there and it's at an angle, so it might be a bit tricky. And secondly, of course, you can't do it with the batteries in there anyways, so you'll still need to probably hook it up to a power adapter or something like that. So I'm just going to hook up 3 volts up to these terminals, get it playing, then we can check the belt condition and check the motor speed. Headphone socket. That belt is bouncing a little bit, so we'll just try a couple of these.
Not gonna miss the lonely nights, flying on the neon lights, dancing the night away.
Okay, that sounds okay. A little bit slow still, obviously, but I think the wow and flutter isn't as bad as it was. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do now is just get in here and adjust the tape speed. Right, okay, so to turn it up a bit, that's slower.
Walking down the street,
There we go.
I can see my memories. People I used to know.
Lovely, so that seems to be okay. And we'll just turn it over and have another listen. Remember what we were saying about not being able to, no auto reverse on this one. So we'll see what's on the other side. All a bit tricky, of course, because it's not screwed down yet. And we'll just hook up some power again, press play. Lovely, there we go then. So that belt's better. The tape speed's now been adjusted, and now we can finally button this one back up again. So it's had the new belt, as I say, it's had the head clean, the capstan, pinch roller, all that sort of stuff. So we can now finally go back in, zip it up and give it a clean. So there we go then, there's the PS22 from Boots. 2 slightly different eras, 2 different countries of manufacture, yet 1 model number. So hopefully this takes some of the confusion out of it. They both seem to use JVC boards and Sanyo amplifier chips. The same actual mechanism inside both of them. One is slightly more modernised circuitry, and indeed different looks as well, a bit more modern, a bit rounder. But one's more old school 80s, one's more really 90s almost, one would imagine. But there we go. I think the newer one is definitely louder and clearer. That could be the circuitry. It could just generally be the fact that it hasn't had much use and that it is newer ultimately. So there we go then. Hope you enjoyed that. But basically, we've given them a service. We've cleaned their head, the capstan, the pinch rollers. We've changed the belts on these. Only use cheap belts. They're only cheap, sort of relatively inexpensive models, these. One of them worked perfectly on the newer version. The other one, we took a couple of belts just to get it right. Also adjusted the speed on the red one because that was running a bit slow as well. But very simple to work on. As you can see, a couple of screws, and that gets you access to the back, and you can kind of do what you like with them after that. So there we go. They've had a bit of a clean. They're pretty tidy and ready to be enjoyed again. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates. We've got loads of personal stereos, but we've also got 8 tracks, boom boxes, vintage games, all that kind of stuff. So thanks again and stay safe. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.